let's take a look at Nibiru and educate ourselves on what's really going on with this piece. As it goes for how this connects with the end times, is this Nibiru gets its cycle every 3,600 years. It is said that this celestial is greatly magnetic and will affect our world magnetics. It is to cause a pole shift, which then will cause great disasters in our realm. So, the last cycle put us back to 1581 BC, which is the time frame that the devastating Santorini erupted, along with other gigantic destroyers, such as Krakatoa and Thera, which wiped out the Minoans. This also takes us to the time of the Exodus. This is where Moses comes into play, parting the Red Seas. Exodus 10:21 says, "Then the Lord said to Moses, 'Stretch out your hand towards heaven, so that a great darkness will spread over the land of Egypt, a palpable darkness.'" So, we see that Moses is active during the Nibiru cycle. During that time, the earth suffered great cataclysms. It is recorded that a celestial body appeared in the heavens, a new comet they called it, causing the eventual disappearance of the glacier layer. Next would be 7,200 years ago. This would take us back to 1752 CE, according to the Hebrew calendar. This was the time during the cataclysm known as Noah's Flood, the deluge. There were sudden changes in temperature, violent storms, and water avalanches from ice breaking into the ocean, creating huge tsunamis that we can't even imagine in our reality today. So, now we can see that Noah was active during one of the Nibiru cycles. So let's dig a little deeper into some ancient histories of this cycle and the pieces that are affiliated with it, as well as the effects. Nibiru has several names: the Destroyer, Wormwood, Herculumbus, and Comet Typhon. Nibiru is a term in the Akkadian language, translating to crossing or point of transition, especially of rivers. In Babylonian astronomy, the term refers to the equinox and the astronomical objects associated with it. Nibiru was considered the seat of the Summus Deus, who shepherds the stars like sheep, and in Babylon identifies with Marduk. So, Tablet 4 of the Enuma Elish has some great descriptions of Marduk. They prepared him for a lordly chamber. Before his fathers, as a prince, he took his place. O Marduk, thou art chiefest among the great gods. In thy power shall it be to exalt and to abase. None among the gods shall transgress thy boundaries. O Marduk, thou art our avenger. We give thee sovereignty over the whole world. But as for the god who began the rebellion, pour out his life. Then set they in their midst a garment, And unto Marduk their firstborn they spake, May thy fate, O Lord, be supreme among the gods, to destroy and to create. Speak thou the word, and thy command shall be fulfilled. They rejoiced, and they did homage unto him, saying, Marduk is king. They bestowed upon him the scepter, and the throne, and the ring. They give him an invincible weaponry, which will overwhelmeth the foe. Go, and cut off the life of Tiamat, and let the wind carry her blood into the secret places. After the gods his fathers had decreed, for the Lord of his fate, they caused him to set out on a path of prosperity and success. He made ready the bow, he chose his weapon. He slung a spear upon him and fastened it. He raised the club in his right hand, and he grasped it. The bow and the quiver he hung at his side. He set the lightning in front of him. With burning flame he filled his body. He made a net to enclose the inward parts of Tiamat. The four winds he stationed so that nothing of her might escape. The south wind and the north wind, the east wind and the west wind. He brought near to the net, the gift of his father, anew. He created the evil wind and the tempest and the hurricane, and the fourfold wind and the sevenfold wind, and the whirlwind, and the wind which had no equal. He sent forth the winds which he had created, the 7 of them, to disturb the inward parts of Tiamat. They followed after him. When the Lord raised the thunderbolt, his mighty weapon, he mounted the chariot, the storm unequaled for terror. He harnessed and yoked unto it 4 horses. The establishment of the Nibiru point is described in Tablet 5 of the creation epic Enuma Elish. When Marduk fixed the location of Nibiru, Enlil, and Ah in the sky, it states, Marduk made the stations for the great gods, the stars, their images, as the stars of the zodiac he fixed. He ordained the year, and into sections he divided it. For the 12 months he fixed 3 stars. After he had the days of the year and the images, he founded the station of Nibiru to determine their bounds, that none might go err or go astray. He set the station of Bel and Ah along with him. He opened the great gates on both sides. He made strong the bolt on the left and on the right. In the midst thereof he fixed the zenith. The moon god he caused to shine forth. The night he entrusted to him. He appointed him a being of the night to determine the days. Every month without ceasing the crown he covered him, saying, At the beginning of the month, when thou shinest upon the land, thou commandest the horns to determine 6 days, and on the 7th day to divide the crown. On the 14th day thou shalt stand opposite the half. Nibiru, which is said to have occupied the passageways of heaven and earth, because everyone above and below asked Nibiru if they could not find the passage. Nibiru is that which the gods in heaven cause to be visible. Nibiru stands as a post at the turning point. The others say of Nibiru the post, the one who crosses the middle of the sea. This is Tiamat, without calm. May his name be Nibiru, for he takes up the center of it. The path of the stars of the sky should be kept unchanged. The star of Ah has been described at various revelations as Vela, Fomalhaut, and Venus. These are different names for the same thing, which is where the confusion comes in for our present-day world. Many different names for many different gods, celestials, lands, and so on for different regions, languages, and religions lead to the confusion for us whom aren't educated in the histories properly. Nibiru has been associated with the area of Libra, also with the autumn equinox. The Mole Alpin says, when the stars of Enlil have been finished, the big star, although its light is dim, divides the sky in half and stands there. This is the star of Marduk, Nibiru. It keeps changing its position and crosses the sky. A little bit of Tablet 7 of the Enuma Elish gets into the many different names and titles of Marduk. This is more of the same, as I mentioned earlier, about the names changing and us not being educated on the fact that many names for one story is creating a confusion amongst our present times. Some of the names are Asari, the creator of grain and plants. Asaru Alim, who is revered in the house of the council. Asaru Alim Nuna, the light of the Father who begot him. Tutu, who created them anew. Ukina, the life of the host of gods. Ziazag, the bringer of purification. Sagzu, founder of the assembly of the gods, knows the heart of the gods. Nibiru has also been associated as the red Kachina, the purifier. Now let's look at some of the Bible verses that speak of wormwood and the effects on our world. Revelations 8, 11 and 12 say, the name of the star is wormwood. A third of the waters turned bitter like wormwood oil, and many people died from the bitter waters. Then the fourth angel sounded his trumpet, and a third of the sun and moon and stars were struck. A third of the stars were darkened, and a third of the day was without light, and a third of the night as well. We also have several verses that basically all say the same thing. We have Isaiah 13:10, Ezekiel 32:7, Joel 2:31, And Joel 3:15. For the stars of heaven and their constellations will not give light. The sun will be darkened when it rises, and the moon will not give light. Matthew 24:29 is much of the same, but it also adds that the stars will fall from the sky. Zechariah 13:8 and 9. And in all the land declares the Lord, 2/3 will be cut off and perish, but 1/3 will be left in it. This third I will bring through the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. Revelation 6:12 says, And when I saw the Lamb open the sixth seal, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black like sackcloth of goat hair, and the whole moon turned blood red. Revelations 8:7. Then the first angel sounded his trumpet, and hail and fire mixed with blood were hurled upon the earth. 1/3 of the earth was burned up, along with 1/3 of the trees and all the green grass. Revelation 9:15 says, So the 4 angels who had been prepared for this hour and day and month and year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Revelations 9:18. 1/3 of mankind was killed by the 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone that proceeded from their mouths. And Revelations 12:4. His tail swept 1/3 of the stars from the sky, tossing them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her child as soon as he was born. Some questions come to my mind as I read this stuff. Now, just so everyone understands, I'm not speculating. I'm simply asking questions. One of the questions is, could Noah and Moses be the same piece of technology with different names throughout the times? I do not have the answer. It's just a thought to put out there. Also, we know that Noah's flood lasted 40 days, and the effects of Nibiru coming online, they say, would be lasting of 40 years. So the next question that I think of, was the ancient text translated correctly as far as days and years go? Again, I do not have the answer, just voicing some thoughts so that maybe perhaps we can all learn together.